What's up, guys? I've just started the second time that we've been trying to do this stream. So hopefully this time everybody gets the notifications. Let me just send off a little quick post on YouTube real fast. Let's see, post.
What's up, guys?
Whoops, my bad. Shut up, fan. So how's everybody doing? It's a long time no see, for at least half of you, right? So if you haven't been following along on my YouTube channel here, yesterday was the official time for this live show, and I was here with Rico, and we're just kind of going through our things, and I'm just like watching the number of people that are in chat, and I was thinking that the number seemed a little low, but I wasn't sure. I couldn't really put my finger on it or anything like that, but whatever. Things could be a little bit weird just when you first start a live stream. But who knows, right? But then it kept on going and going and going. It's like, yeah, these numbers just aren't looking quite right. So it turned out that the issue was with the notifications just not going out. So hopefully this time around the notifications are working. So I'm just going to get situated here. We are early. I mean, the show is going to start, the choral portion. We're going to start that at 2 p.m., but we will see just how stuff sounds. I'm trying to couple things a little bit differently here as compared to yesterday. I've got a couple of different microphones that I wanted to try out, and I've kind of set the broadcasting software to do things a little bit differently as far as audio goes. So yeah, we're just waiting for some folks to trickle in, and let me know how this particular microphone sounds, because this one is different than the last one that I used, I mean, pretty much for the last several of these live shows. So let's see, hello. So hello, Mo, I see you in chat. Just getting situated. So yeah, just let me know if you guys can hear me okay. And I think at some point I might switch microphones and see your guys' take on which one you think sounds better. But yeah, the notification issue, I really didn't quite expect it to have quite that effect. Because I mean, the way that I consume YouTube, I guess I do pick up notifications from people that I'm subscribed to and hit that notification bell for, but it's never like the super big driving force to like on how I watch stuff. So when people were saying, yeah, I didn't get the notifications, I was like, huh, that's kind of interesting. But I didn't really think that it was going to make it that big of a difference, because it's like, yeah, it's not really part of how I consume YouTube. But it definitely had an impact. So, and yeah, the NFL playoffs also, I agree, that's a thing. But I guess like having done this a number of years now, these events, they don't completely derail like viewership as much as you might think, because we've always done this sort of thing on the weekends. And there's always some event going on, right? Not even obviously coral reef related. It'll be, it'll be something like the NCAA Final Four, or like there's always going to be something, World Series. And Derek, okay, so Derek did receive a notification through YouTube. Okay. The other thing that I'm noticing on my broadcasting software right now is that we're getting like yellow and red line whole bunch of stuff. So hopefully this isn't too squirrely of a live stream, because usually when it's like red like this, that's not a good sign. But I don't know, hopefully it's working. Yeah, sometimes it just takes a little bit of time to just to let the network kind of like figure things out. And but like right now, it's definitely poor stream health, and that can be any number of things from like the servers to just like our internet connection. So again, hopefully it's like a smooth image at least. Oh man, Eco Marines. It looks good and sounds good. All right, thank you, Laura, and welcome. So hopefully, Laura, you got a notification that this thing was going on. And you know what? The other thing that I didn't quite do yet was just take a look at setting up the Facebook side of things. I typically do that on this second computer here. Yeah, Facebook is like the weirdest. I say this every single time, but Facebook is legit like the weirdest interface. Okay, yeah. So on Facebook, Ramsey Hunter. Um, yeah, it's I'm mostly commenting on the YouTube feed because that's by far like the most activity happens there. But I try to take a peek back at the Facebook side of things as well. So yes, I can see. Yep, and Mark Kraus had responded to you as well. Yeah. So before I would set up. I would set up. What do you call it? I would actually show both sets of comments on screen, but I think that over time it just took up too much space on the screen, and there's already so many things that are going on that I didn't want it to be super distracting in that way. So whenever possible, and when I'm addressing people, I'll always say like, like so and so from YouTube or so and so from Facebook, and try to just do it that way. You should also add a Twitch stream. You know what? I just might, because we do have a Twitch account, and I set it up a long time ago. But since I've gotten away from gaming, I never really went back to that. I was thinking about actually doing some gaming videos, but when it really boiled down to it, I'm like, I can't game anymore. So, but then Twitch kind of also incorporated creative and things like that. So I might get back into streaming on Twitch, because I think that we do have like Tidal Gardens on Twitch. And hello, Lawson, on Facebook. Are you excited about Vietnam yet? So Lawson's one of the people that I'm going to be vacationing with later on this month, in 7 days exactly. And right now, my number one concern is I hope I don't miss my flights, because there's some backlog of, there's a lot of people that work for the TSA that aren't getting paid right now. So there's like long lines at the airport. I don't want to miss my flight. Okay, so it looks like my stream health has cleared up, so that's good. It was just like a little networking hiccup. So Lawson saw on Facebook, joined in on YouTube. Okay, so the other thing is, I suppose I wanted to check, excuse me. Wow, still did not get notifications for this show, huh? Yeah, I wonder, so I wasn't like super aware of this, but I guess that when you subscribe to a channel, that doesn't do a whole heck of a lot. I knew that. But then, everybody says you have to hit the notification bell to get notifications. And I guess now that doesn't even guarantee you to get the notifications. You then have to like select the level of notifications that you want to receive, and it's someone yesterday had said it was, I want to receive all notifications. Then the next one was I want to receive notifications occasionally. And the last one is I don't want to receive notifications ever. So that person had subscribed, hit the notification bell, and selected never to receive notifications. That's like bonkers to me. Yeah, got Facebook notification, also joined YouTube. Okay. And I also posted something on Instagram saying that we were going to be going live today. So yeah, but that just goes to show you like what effect that notification thing has. Because I know that YouTube is implementing a bunch of new features all the time. And sometimes when they do that, other things just break. And I did notice that that one thing that they added was these posts that are just like kind of like Twitter like posts. They would show up in your activity feed, I guess, on your home screen on YouTube. And yesterday when I was looking at that, all these channels that I was following, they would it's like every single one of them was a poll, just like the ones that I've been putting up, asking, did you get the notification? And I think that it's just like a widespread issue right now on YouTube that, yeah, notifications simply just aren't going out. For a regular video, it's not quite so bad, but for like a live video, it's like crushing. So I was hoping that they would kind of have that resolved by today, but it looks like the notification thing is just not happening right now. So Michael Adkins, hello from Fairlawn, like super far away right there. So welcome. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and start into the coral portion of the stream. Okay, so real quick, like yesterday, I was using this little microphone here. It's a lavalier mic, it's a wireless guy. And so you just clip this body unit on and all that. But today, I'm sorry, this is gonna make a little bit of a noise when I move this, but I'm using this guy here, which is like more of a broadcast mic, but obviously it takes up quite a bit of space. And since I have it on like a table mount, any little thing that bumps this thing kind of makes noise. So sorry about that. But I did want to test out how this guy sounds on a live show, because I'm not wearing like headphones or anything. I can't monitor my audio in that way. So it's really kind of insightful to kind of look back at my older shows and see, there's some times where I look back at an older show and I just kind of cringe at like how bad the production was. But there's other times where I look back and think, we did it way better back then. Well, I should remember exactly what I was doing to replicate that. Philip Wells. Rico going to join you today as well? Unfortunately, he's not. I forget what he's doing today, though. We went to Korean last night. We were talking over some details of like the barbecue and whatnot. And I think he had a couple of different things going on today, but I don't know exactly what he's got going on. But he's not going to be here, long story short. Yesterday he did bring some cherry Coke, and that's what I'm helping myself to. Sounds really good. Okay, great. So this microphone is actually the least expensive mic that I have. I was using at different times like a shotgun mic from Sennheiser. It's called the Sennheiser 416. It's a legendary Hollywood standard shotgun mic. Think of it as like it's recorded motion pictures since Lawrence of Arabia. And it sounds excellent, but in this particular room that's still very echoey, it has kind of these issues with picking up way too much of that echo. So then I switched to these little Sennheiser lavalier mics, also really nice and really practical. But for voiceovers and just in this room, eventually it's not going to matter much as I improve the acoustics. But for now, I think that I needed to do something. So I got this mic, and this mic is like kind of, it's kind of like a podcaster's mic. It's a very popular mic. It's called a Shure SM7B. And it's famous for a number of things. It's used in many podcasts, but it also was one of the microphones that Michael Jackson recorded Thriller on. That's kind of like one of their calls to fame. So it's not that expensive compared to some like the Sennheiser mics, but I mean, it sounds amazing from everything that I've heard. So when I do my voiceovers going forward on my videos, I'm going to try to use this mic more. Okay, so what do you feed zoas? Zoas can be a little bit challenging when it comes to feeding because there's a wide range of different morphologies, and some of them are really easy to feed, and other ones don't really seem to feed at all. So like the ones that are more active, the ones that have like the longer tentacles and things like that are a lot more responsive, I would say go ahead and try to feed that stuff some frozen food, perhaps some of the supernate that's from like mysis shrimp or krill. But a lot of the ones, especially the smaller polyped guys, don't necessarily respond that well to feeding. And in that case, going out of your way to feed them might be a little bit counterproductive because you run a greater risk of nutrient load, and that can just go downhill pretty quickly. So you kind of have to do a little bit of trial by error, lean on your abilities of observation, which is by far like the most important skill in this hobby. So if I was to look at, for example, number 7 here, these metallic sunbirth zoas, these might be more responsive to feeding than the previous zoa that was just on the screen. You see how they're basically 4 times the size. There's a lot of variety when it comes to these things. And yeah, I would say that this guy could probably eat full-sized mysis shrimp. Reef boy, is that a wrasse still? Is that wrasse still speeding around? Oh yeah, every day for sure. Mike Leonard, welcome to the show. Jeff Cleveland, go Browns. Their season's done. They didn't fire Hugh Jackson fast enough, I guess. Reef, I unsubbed and subbed again, no notifications. So I honestly think that the notification thing, it's just well, I hope this isn't the new normal. How about that? But I have a feeling that it's just an ongoing bug right now. I bet like if I looked in Google or something like that, it's like YouTube no notifications. I bet you're going to see like a flurry of posts from like right now, and then different patches of complaints as to when those happen. It's usually around when they introduce some new feature or take away a feature. Ron, round 2, yes. So don't ever say that I don't appreciate you guys, because I'm doing the entire live show again for the folks that may have missed it yesterday, which, by the way, you can always go back and watch if you want to see perhaps a little bit less of me and more of Rico. It was kind of funny yesterday because I was wearing a suit, and Rico was like wearing like a t-shirt and hoodie, and somebody in chat said, "You look like a lawyer, and Rico looks like your defendant." I got a kick out of that. Yeah, so Reef said, I saw the post, never been notified, and have the bell on. Yeah, from what I understand, there might be different levels of the bell. So you might have the bell, but have it set to like never notify you, which is insane to me. But again, I think that it's just a total screw up by YouTube. Aaron, when he has the next live show on the channel, click set reminder. It's crazy how much work that YouTube makes people do now to get the notification, because theoretically the bell shouldn't even exist. Like when people subscribe, that should be it, right? But not only is that not it, the bell isn't it either. It's crazy. Okay, so Luke Doolittle on YouTube is asking, what fish would you recommend for algae eating? So there's no perfect fish out there for algae eating, unfortunately. My personal favorite is also my least favorite for a couple of reasons. So my all-time favorite is definitely a foxface. They do the best job on the most number of different types of algae, especially macroalgae, which some tangs do, but a lot of tangs don't. So like, if you have a blue tang, don't expect it to do a whole lot for like Valonia or other types of macroalgae. But the problem with, at least with my foxfaces, is whenever we introduce new corals to that particular tank, stuff that they would never go after, they would go after just because it's a new addition to their tank. So I've had just these foxfaces just mow down brain corals, just out of the blue, because when we set up a live show, we bring other corals to that tank. So yeah, it's weird. Mark Krause, young foxface are great for algae. As they get older, they get an appetite for meaty stuff. Yeah, some of ours are still small, and they get that curiosity for things. But if that coral has been in their tank for like 48 hours even, then it will not bother it. So there are plenty of LPS and other SPS and stuff like that they don't bother. But when we bring in another coral, that's when the trouble starts. Reef boy, I'm gonna get an RODI system and instant ocean marine salt for my birthday. Oh, there you go. Yeah, getting an RODI would really help out because you never know what kind of issues that you might be having with your tap water. Diacanthus, I got the notification for yesterday's about 4 hours after the show was done. Still haven't gotten it for today's. So here's another thing why I think that there is some issue with notifications. So Jamie, Rico's wife, after we had dinner, she sends me this text, this screen capture from her phone, and on her YouTube app, it showed that the live stream that was done yesterday was done 4 years ago. So yeah, it's like it's streamed 4 years ago. It's like, great. I think there's something very wrong with YouTube right now. Mike Howard, thanks for the second round today. No, thank you for attending the second round today. Mo, do you dip corals before sending them out? No, we don't do that because we dip corals on and off just in general as a part of maintenance when we also have like fish that help knock down populations of pests when we have pests. But the problem with dipping corals before they go out is that the dipping process isn't exactly 100% anyway. So it's not like, oh, we dip it and it's good. Usually you dip it and it's good 30% of the time. Dipping isn't super effective, but the idea is if you're able to avoid one problem by dipping is worth it forever because having a pest outbreak so bad, right? The other thing is the dipping process is stressful on the coral. And I don't want to dip something, stress the coral out, then put it into a small container and then ship it. Because those are basically the two most stressful things you can do to a coral. It's to dip them and to ship them. And I don't want to like piggyback on those two activities because at that point, I'm not liking that coral's chances of success. Tyler Embry, your Instagram post really helped me know when you were going live. Awesome. So yesterday we even did a 15-minute walkthrough, but I think that got saved on Instagram as a story rather than an actual post. So I have a feeling that because it was a story, a lot of people didn't see it. But 100 people did watch that live when we did it just before the show. Brian Tatgenhorst on Facebook. Hello. Kasten Pier on Facebook. Question. I recently got a strawberry crab, and it's been walking around in my mini maxi carpet anemone. Is this regular behavior? Should I be worried? To be perfectly honest, I'm not sure what a strawberry crab is. Like when it comes to a lot of the invertebrates, especially the crabs, I'm not the super well understood on that topic. But a lot of different crabs do form these commensal relationships with anemones, and mini maxi carpets, for some reason, attract a lot of things. So I know that like little sexy shrimp, porcelain crabs, and stuff like that regularly camp out in those anemones. So it's possible that the strawberry crab is also doing that. TT, yeah, happened across a live stream just a couple minutes ago. Never got a notification. Yeah, YouTube's not helping us out this weekend. So these Zoa prices are cheap compared to what I pay locally. You should ship to Canada. Uh, Shipping to Canada would be rather expensive. I looked into it for a little while. I'm still considering it, but it's expensive. Um, So as far as Zoa prices go, I think that you can expect them to go up quite a little bit because the really nice ones are coming from geographies that aren't currently shipping. So my favorite geography for Zoas is Fiji, and it's not even that close. It's like I like Fiji way more than I like any other place. And Fiji's been closed now for a good while. And then the second favorite place was Indonesia. And then obviously that place closed down. Most people that dip corals dip on arrival prior to addition to the tank. So those two things happen anyways. Would you recommend just not dipping? Um, that's a good question. You, it also depends on the type of coral too. There's some corals that I really would not skip dipping for. Um, things like Montipora, especially zoanthids, and those two can kind of handle a little bit better. Certain large polyp stony corals, I'm less concerned about pests in general. So, for example, frog spawn, like other Euphyllia, Duncans, sometimes they get like these brown flatworms on them that irritate them. But I don't worry about that quite so much because those little brown flatworms, not a big deal. And those are relatively easy to dip over the course of like a couple weeks. So not a big deal, but that stress when they ship could be a big deal. Now, on the other hand, like things like zoanthids and Paleothoa, they can handle dipping pretty well. You can dip them in crazy stuff, and they'll bounce right back. So I would almost always dip zoas because the risk of that dip stressing them out to a large degree, not so much of a big deal. Stuff like Acropora, that's a much harder question because oftentimes they don't like to be dipped, period. Like there's certain acros that if you dip it, it's probably going to die. So obviously the risk of an Acropora-based pest messing with it, it's dipping it and killing it is way worse. So David Jones on YouTube. Than, do you guys sell locally? I have a hard time paying shipping and occasionally make the trip up towards northern Ohio. We do have local visitors by appointment. So if you know when you're going to be up in this area, by all means get in contact with us. Probably email is the best form of communication, and we will set up an appointment for you to come see us. Strawberry crabs are more like omnivore emerald crabs than anemone crabs or smooth skin acro crabs. Yeah, like I said, I've never seen. I may have seen them, but I just don't know that they're called strawberry crabs. Someone was asking earlier about feeding zoanthids and pallies. I think that pallies are much easier to feed. So like number 24 right here is a Paleothoa grandis. These things can consume very, very large pieces of shrimp. I think it's the largest Paleothoa And this one that you're seeing on screen, it's a little less than 1 inch, but I've seen them as big as like 2 or 3 inches even. And usually those are coming from aquariums that feed extraordinarily heavily. My attempts to feed heavily have like mixed success because sometimes we just don't stick with it. But there's some places that I know about their feeding schedule where they're feeding multiple times a day. And when I see their Paleothella grandises, they are gigantic. The Reef and Rican. What's up, Tidal Gardens and everyone? Welcome. Yeah, this is the last two shows here are going to be a pretty intimate affair for the simple fact that like not a lot of people are getting those YouTube notifications for whatever reason, and so the if you were having trouble getting your questions answered before, now's the time because you have much less chat competition. Okay, so on Facebook, Gonzalo Riera is asking, what do you think about techniques such as probiotic methods like aquaforest salts and probiotic-based products? All right, so this is a pretty involved question. I personally have not had a lot of success with it, but some of my customers do like it a lot. The proponents of it are that by encouraging certain bacteria to grow by introducing a carbon source, that bacteria directly impacts the level of nitrates and phosphates, especially phosphate. And in doing so, you can create like this ultra low nutrient environment. And then from that, with like specialized feeding, you can encourage certain like appearances to come out in the corals, right? Certain colors, certain morphology. Now the problem is you're also essentially starving the corals because corals do need that nitrate, they do need that phosphate. And sometimes like the most attractive color of a coral is not the best indication of health. And so I think that a lot of the most interesting examples of aquaforest are showing like these light pastel acro colonies and stuff like that. And they grow like crazy. Their polyps are super extended. But just in my experience, it is a small miscalculation away from a tank crash. Because a lot of times those corals really aren't very healthy. And it's almost like a runway model or like a bodybuilder for like a competition sort of thing. You're trying to get a certain aesthetic for a very specific thing, and it's supposed to be a sign of good health, right? Like runway models, well, to a lesser extent, but when you see like Mr. Olympia type guys, you're like, that those guys should be at the pinnacle of health. I mean, look how vascular their veins are in their arms and stuff. But those guys are about ready to pass out, and if they got the flu, they could die. So, it's kind of that analogy with running ultra low nutrient methodologies in your reef. So I personally am not a huge fan, and I can't risk that type of thing in a big aquaculture type setup. But it's something that is interesting in one sense for me because corals have been shown to consume a lot of bacteria, and that bacteria is a big part of coral nutrition. And I want to kind of encourage bacterial growth for coral nutrition, but I haven't really worked out that balance yet. So hopefully that kind of answered in a long-winded fashion your question. Nicholas Reed, are there any BTAs on the show? Currently, no, there's not. I think we might have some on our website, but I don't believe so. And so as far as like anemones go, our biggest issue, I think for some of them, is just having them on our site and available, because they're one of the more challenging things to photograph. And so they don't make it up there as much as I would like. Okay, so Mike Leonard is asking, curious on other people's thoughts. And by the way, obviously, if anybody wants to chime in there, go right ahead, because I'm not exactly the biggest expert on some of this stuff. I started dosing 2-part to help my tank, to make my tank more stable for corals. It doesn't matter how much I dose, I cannot get my alkalinity up. I dose enough to raise by 1.4. So one thing that you might want to check out is my video on magnesium, because what you're doing is you're trying to affect calcium and alkalinity, and also when you're dosing them in tandem like that, it should be balanced, but you can also ease it a little bit towards the alkalinity side by putting in just a little bit more alkalinity, a little less calcium, because those two things do fight one another. But I bring up magnesium because a lot of times if you have really low magnesium, the way that those three play together has an effect on your ability to raise alkalinity. So if your calcium is good and your alkalinity just stays low, and directly adding in more of just the alkalinity component isn't fixing the issue, it's more of an indication that there might be something wrong on the magnesium side of the equation. Charlotte Falconer, hi, watching from the UK. What do you run your NO3 and PO4 at your Zoa Pali system? Thanks. I have a feeling, okay, so to be perfectly honest, we haven't tested super recently for those two parameters, but I can tell you that there's a really good chance that our nitrate is probably pretty low. I would say it's probably close between anywhere from like 5 to 10, as high as 20. But 20 is kind of uncommon, but we've been feeding a lot lately. Now, phosphate, we don't really try to do anything special for phosphate. So we're not running like GFO or anything like that. Phosphate, the last time we looked, was super high, like up to 1 part per million even. So like, what is it, 10,000 times the recommended amount of phosphate. But we really don't have an algae issue, so I haven't worried about it too much, but it's super high. Luke Doolittle, do you feel a dwarf angelfish would be a good reef tank inhabitant? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I could elaborate, but you could probably fill in the blanks as to why I might not like it. Why I might not like a dwarf angel. They cannot be trusted. So another thing that Aaron here brings up on YouTube that's kind of important to consider when we're talking about alkalinity is sometimes it's not great to chase numbers just for the sake of chasing numbers. So one of our systems that grows a lot of corals, a lot of stony corals even, has crushingly low alkalinity, like alkalinity that shouldn't even work. And I do want to raise it up more towards like the range of natural seawater, right around 7 or 8. But I'm in no real hurry to do so because I think that the shock of moving it is worse than just leaving it be and having it be low. But yeah, the last time that we checked, I think it was right around an alkalinity of 3 DKH. So go real slow. Yeah, so Mike Leonard, it's been as low as 5.1. Like I said, not the end of the world. Gabe's Reef Tampa. Wow, Dan, you got screwed again. So sorry. Hey, you know what? It happens. Like, it's not just me, right? It's millions of people on the platform. Yeah, when it comes to chemistry like that, I think that it is important to to always remember that it is more about stability than it is about anything. The corals can adapt to consistent water, and trying to just to chase the ideal numbers can be really, I guess, counterproductive. And it's like I said, it's good to like slowly inch your way towards those proper values, because you will maximize growth potential and stability long term, but kind of like slavishly trying to maintain those numbers when you first start off with very, very, very wildly divergent numbers, it can be troublesome. So whatever you do, do it really slowly, and don't stress about it too much, especially if the stuff is doing well. The worst thing you can do is have a great working reef tank and just have to mess it up by trying something totally out of the box. Zach Stoyo on Facebook is wondering, what's a really low magnesium? I would consider anything lower than 900 pretty low, because I think that you're really kind of shooting for something closer to 1300, 1350. So if my magnesium is 900-ish, I would look to add some back. Fan, do you have a bubblegum digi? So I have seen, I'm not sure, because we have some Montipore digitata that looks like that, but it can color up differently under different lighting. And it also looks really similar to a forest fire Montipore digitata that we sell. So I mean, I haven't sold a Montipore digi as a bubblegum, but it's possible that we have some. Oh, man. Getting myself a refill here. One of my friends, because I was talking to one of my YouTube buddies, and he was wondering, like, so you're going to do the show again? And he said, so the main challenge to doing this show isn't this live portion. It's shooting all this video, because the worst part about this video is no matter what, I can't do it more quickly. I'm shooting each of these corals for a minute, no matter what, every single time. So these minutes start adding up, right? So if I want to do like 200 corals, well, that's 200 minutes that you can't speed up. And then it's the processing of all the images or all the video clips. Now, my camera, which is this camera that I'm using as a webcam, it's a 4K cinema camera that puts out a very large file. And when you ask the computer to then stabilize that footage, to do so for like a couple clips, it's not bad. When you're asking to stabilize 200 clips, which amounts to about 2.5 hours or so, now you're talking about 5 hours of processing. And you better hope that something doesn't go wrong, like your computer doesn't crash halfway through it. And then you have to then export the thing. And sometimes the export fails. And that usually takes another 4 or 5 hours. So long story short, most of the work is tied up into just producing the imagery that you see behind me. So he was suggesting, like, you could just do this every single time. If you already have the video footage to do it, all you need to do is sit down. You've already got it set up because you did it Saturday. Everything is still set up. Just hit the button on Sunday and just do another 3 hours. And so I was like thinking, that could work. That could work. The only other problem is, usually that the Saturday shows when the notifications go out correctly, and we have like our usual audience, because like right now our audience is like roughly 60 people. Okay, there are times when everything is working correctly where we have up to 260 people. So clearly there's a lot more activity and in sales. So on a good Saturday of live show, we would then have probably a good 6 to 8 hours of just preparing the paperwork and shipping and everything like that on Sunday. But if it's slower, like something gets messed up, I could see doing like the show again like this, because the 3 hours that we could just hang out and answer questions and whatnot just for this for the Sunday thing, it's not that big a deal because all that pre-production has been completed already. It's just that it takes a lot of time to put together the packing materials for big shipping days, Monday and Tuesday. Yeah, Recordias are pretty sweet. We are lucky in the sense that they do come from like the Florida area. Some of them come from Puerto Rico, and those might be slightly questionable legally, but that was a thing for a little while. Now, I do know that my source does in fact get them from Florida legally. I wish I could say that was always the case. A little bit of a story time. Many years ago, I was contacted by a collector down in Florida, and they sent us by far the most spectacular Recordia that I've ever seen in my whole life. They were awesome. And back then we were very small, and honestly, we would never really even need to order them again because we moved products so slowly, whatever. But those Recordia looked incredible. About 3 months later, I get this email from somebody with like federal government credentials and was asking questions because my name shows up in an invoice on a company that they're raiding for poaching Recordia from a national park. So that's not good. And luckily, they weren't really coming after me so much. They were coming after that collector because they were the ones that were actually, breaking the law. And everybody that they were selling to was kind of like, you're kind of just building a case of scale as to like how much people were purchasing and whatnot. So, yeah, like you don't want to ever get that phone call. If you're ever in the business, you don't want like Fish and Wildlife to call you up and be like, hi, you were actually part of this super illegal transaction. Like, oh, that's not good. And I'm not in any hurry to try to do that again. So I'm pretty confident in my current source. Yeah, for a while, Recordia were really, really, really challenging to get a hold of because a couple years ago, and I think this might have been a couple summers in a row, but there was this heating event that happened in Florida where you had this like super hot, super extra briny water, meaning that it was like a higher specific gravity. And what would happen is like because it's a higher specific gravity, it sinks to the bottom and it just lays there right on the bottom of the ocean. And it was like 90-degree water or something like that, even like maybe a little bit higher even. And you get this like super thick, super heavy, super hot water that just coated the I think the stream died. So I don't know. Are we back? Okay. Middle of a story. Yeah, I don't know what happened there. I think that the Facebook stream might have just died, period. So I'm sorry, Facebook fam, but you're done. Okay, I think I'm back now. Yeah, weird, really weird. If you were here at the beginning of the stream, there was I was getting some like bad internet signals, and I think it finally just dropped me out. So anyways, I don't know how much of that story you caught, but long story short, a lot of hot water, a lot of heavy hot water, um, ended up killing most of the Recordia in Florida. So for several years there, starting way back, I don't know, 4 years ago maybe, it was really challenging to find Recordia actually from Florida. So most of it was coming from, what do you call it, from Puerto Rico. And there's some question as to how super legal that is. The FBI had their wiretap going? Yeah, probably. Like, you joke about that. It's entirely possible. So I'm curious, because I had to restart my stream, did you guys get, well, I was gonna ask, did you guys get notifications? But I was like, wait a minute, you guys didn't get notifications the first time. So anyway, that was that. So sometimes people, I get this question quite a bit. It's, what are some good SPS to start with? And we're kind of going over that stretch right now. We've covered like a couple of Stylophora, couple of bird's nests, and that's probably the best recommendation. I might even throw Montipora in there to some degree, but a lot of times people are looking for that branchy stick look, and that's kind of what these guys are. Nope, still no notifications. Yep. Not a big surprise there. Oh, man. You are killing me, YouTube. Hey, Than, what's the most high-end Zoe you've ever gotten? Well, the one that we currently have that's very high-end would be macaws. They're like these bright yellow guys, large heads. Um, there's also Utter Chaos that we have. We have Emeralds on Fire / toucans. And the ones and Rastas we get, but the sort of stuff I'm looking for are like Fruit Loops. And there's actually one coral that we've had years ago that we've since lost. They're called, it's like a Simpsons reference, but it's Treehouse of Horrors. It looks amazing. Anacropora is an interesting choice too. Yeah, I was never impressed by Anacropora until recently, because Anacropora for the longest time came in one color, which was tan. Not super duper exciting, right? But now they come in like bright green and bright red. I don't know, bright red, but it's red. Let's call it red. Yeah, Pavona is another good beginner coral, beginner SPS. This coral here, 57, Steinociniella, is really interesting because it has some aspects of it that look like Montipora, but at the same time, sometimes these polyps extend out, so it almost looks like Goniopora. But I believe that we've had this conversation in chat in past shows, but I think that they're more closely related to like a lot of those SPS corals, the like uh, like bird's nest and things of that sort. Debbie Lane, hi Than. I did get notified yesterday. Okay, good. Yeah, I don't know why I mean, YouTube is such a big, complicated site that has like 10,000 people hammering away at it. And by the way, I mean, not 10,000 like viewers. I'm talking about 10,000 software engineers working for Google slamming on this site. And, any given time, like something could fall off and break something. I don't know if you guys remember this. Like a few months ago, there was like this YouTube went down for like an hour, and people were kind of speculating that it had to be done from the inside because YouTube has so many redundancies and backups that the entire site can't go down unless you turn it off intentionally. So, I mean, it's an absolute monster of a site. So like any number of things could go wrong. I just hope that it actually is something that went wrong and not something that like, oh, we're doing away with notifications because we just wanted to feed viewership. So I don't know. Barbara White, 59 teal in color. Yeah, I'd say so. That kind of looks teal. It kind of has like some little bit of purple in there as well. YouTube had an office shooting a couple months ago. Yeah, but why don't I get notifications? No, it's huge places like that. I mean, it's almost like a city state unto itself. I mean, how many employees does YouTube have? It wouldn't surprise me if they had 50,000 people working there. It's like bigger than the city I live in. Somebody was asking yesterday, like, what my favorite corals are, and I don't ever really have a set answer. I kind of waffle in and out of different types of LPS typically, but I've always had a soft spot in my heart for some of these things, like the different colored Favia and Favites. Yeah, they come in so many different color combinations now. I guess they're similar to acants in that regard, but I've always had a lot more success with Favia and Favites. So I've kind of been getting more into them because we only have like maybe a dozen or so different varieties. And I know that there's an entire world more that we could be expanding into there. Will you ever do a video with just that wrasse swimming? I could just film it once and just loop it and it'll pretty much look the same. Two, please. What's up? And Tech Year Talk, I missed you earlier. What is up? We finally got some wrenches. Oh, and Diacanthus. Yeah, Diacanthus is a wrench. How could I forget? Speaking of Recordia, mine brushed up against my Hollywood Stunner and bleached it. I would have thought the Stunner would have won that fight. I think the Hollywood Stunner likes to fight a lot. I don't know how much it wins. But it's the Hollywood Stunner is super aggressive, I know. But actually that's fairly typical of mushrooms, especially like Discosoma. Like you wouldn't think that these smooth, not really stingy type corals. But if something runs into a Discosoma, oftentimes that Discosoma is going to win. So Reef Boy, right now the only colorful thing in my tank is a fake red tube coral. You know what? Don't knock it, because I think that there's a lot of companies that are specializing now in hyper-realistic plastic corals. And if you wanted to do like some sort of fish only with live rock, which, I mean, come on now. If you're in this chat, you're not really going to be into fish only with live rock, right? But if you wanted to go that route, let's say you wanted to have some particular carnivore that you simply can't have in a reef tank, there might be some opportunities to try out some fake corals that actually aren't embarrassing. I'm trying to think of if there was a predator fish that I really would want that I couldn't keep coral with. I can't think of anything really. Maybe like a dragon moray eel, but why couldn't you keep coral with that, right? So Cyphastrea. I don't often get too many questions regarding Cyphastrea, but they are a very fast growing and easy to keep coral. And I think that the just the number one most important thing with keeping them is just like monitoring light level. Because when it comes to lighting, most aquarists kind of overdo par. You know, they're looking for brighter, more intense light. But I think a lot of people are now finding that a lot of corals tend to do better in lower light. And Cyphastrea in particular need even less light. So, I mean, we almost keep them in like super cavernously dark places. And they really struggle once they're in any kind of bright summertime light. So if you do happen to have one of these Cyphastrea, like meteor shower or like the PPE or whatever, and if you're having issues with it like bleaching, if you're having issues with it not growing, I would consider just finding like a much dimmer spot for it. Medic58, Happy New Year. Thank you. You too. Diacanthus, second annual Tidal Garden Summer Barbecue tickets. So last year, at the behest of Rico, we did this summer barbecue in July, or maybe that one was in August. I don't even quite remember. But this coming one is going to be in the last weekend in July, and the one last year was just kind of like a feel out period, just to see what people thought of maybe doing what people thought about doing like a barbecue event here, and it went over really well. And so we're taking it up to another level for this year. This year we are charging just because we need like a better food budget, long story short. But we're also working with some sponsors that are going to be providing some gift bags and whatnot. So my goal is to have like whoever attends and pays that $25 fee will get great food, but in addition, they're going to get a gift bag that's worth considerably more than the $25 that's the entry fee. Because I know that people are traveling. I realize that there's far more expenses than the $25 entrance fee. I get that like the $25 entrance fee is probably not the thing holding people back. It's traveling to Ohio if you're not in Ohio. So I do want to try to offset that a little bit by offering some nice little perks. Now, last night, Rico and I were talking, and he talks to a lot of other folks. He goes to a lot of shows and whatnot, and around that time, I think that only half of my new building is going to have like tanks of any kind, and which is fine. It's going to take some time to assemble all of the tanks in there. But with a half empty building, it opens up the opportunity to invite some other select coral vendors and have them attend the show and also sell coral. Because okay, so you might think it's kind of crazy to invite people that are literally your competition to come and sell in your own place. But there's people that we're very comfortable with. And I have no problem with allowing them to set up and sell to the people that come for the barbecue, sell to one another. And frankly, I probably would be more than happy to buy a lot of the cool stuff that they bring that we don't have. So we're working on a couple of things in that vein. So the folks that come won't just see all of the Tidal Gardens offerings, but it might be kind of frag swap-ish because I think that there's quite enough floor space to have some guest coral vendors as well. So we're looking at that. Than, how many tickets have been sold? That's a good question. I think less than 20, I'm sure, but there's 150. That's like the entire pool is 150 currently. We might raise that as like if it gets closer to selling out, because I know that like everybody's gonna do stuff last minute. I mean, who plans for stuff in July today? But I just want to get that on people's calendars. Just pencil it in, and if you're available, there might still be tickets available. Oh, there we go. 420 Reefer missed it last year, but is considering this year. Great. We're also looking to try to get a lot of, maybe not a lot, but a few select YouTubers that we love to come over, hang out with all you guys, take pictures and all that. And then we also want to make that a live event. So even if somebody like 420 Reefer who couldn't attend, I want to make it kind of like an interactive experience for them as well. Because I mean, stuff comes up. I mean, even people that do sign up might not be able to attend ultimately. We get that. But I want to have, to offer an online experience as though you were with us. Lisa's Aquatics, Tidal Gardens, no notification again. What's happening? Yeah, I know. Like YouTube is just killing me this weekend. Just killing me, YouTube. What the heck? Hopefully it's not the new normal. I hope that something is just broken on YouTube's end, because it's really squirrely about this no notification business. And I don't think it's just me, because I was looking at a couple of the new features that YouTube had where you were able to see other people's posts, because before that just didn't show up in your timeline, I guess. And I swear, like it seemed like every single one of them was posting something about, are you guys getting notifications, like polls and whatnot. And I did a poll. Let me see if I can dig up my own poll here. Refresh this page. Yeah, so we're still at 90% not getting notifications. So, I mean, obviously that's no fun. But I'm more curious about, why did the 10% get notifications? Like, at what point did it say, these people are good and these people aren't going to get it? Because it would almost make sense if like nobody got it, right? Like notifications were just down. But it's not that. It's like a small number of people still are getting notifications. Like, what the heck? Because I know that, like, I mean, I don't know. I can't explain these numbers, guys. I can't explain these numbers. Can't miss corals. I was there. What a great experience. Awesome. Glad you had a good time. Okay. I can't pronounce this, but Ureshiihi, however you pronounce that. Hey, Than. How do you remove copper in a quarantine tank so it's safe to use to set up a reef tank? That might take several rounds of chemical treatment. So I don't know the name of the product. And if you guys in chat know what I'm talking about, but there's basically like a filter pad or like some resin media of some sort, but it's specifically there to soak up copper. And it changes color when it does soak up the copper. That's what you want to use. And you want to do several rounds of that, along with like just soaking the tank and getting it kind of out of all the different recesses of the tank. Reef. Yeah, Dave's didn't send out notifications either. So weird. I just re-hit the bell. Rico mentioned that in the past that it will work. Who knows? I also heard that there are different levels of notification now with the bell. So not only do you have to hit subscribe, not only do you have to hit the notification bell, now you have to tell the what type of bell you really want, which I guess is like sometimes notification, all the time notification, or never notify, which again is nuts, because why would anybody subscribe, hit the bell, and select never notify me? Like theoretically, there shouldn't be a bell. It should be subscribe. And that guy gets notifications. But whatever. We need now like a 4-step, like a quadra opt-in to get a notification that a video went up. It's nuts. Okay. Diacanthus, I resubbed, hit the bell, let's see if it helps. Yeah, but guys, check that for me. Like, is there some interface that says sometimes notify me or all the time notify me? Polyfilter. Okay, great. Straight Reefer, Gabe's Reef Tampa. Yeah, Polyfilter, that sounds familiar. I've never had to use it because I've never used copper. But yeah, I know that there is some media out there that does soak up copper. There is no option like that. Okay. I am kind of curious to see if I can look that up. YouTube bell. So I look up, I type in YouTube notification bell, and the first thing says not working. Great. Let me click on that. Yeah, I'm not going to stress about it. It's a little late for that. Yes, in options, yes, there is. And of course they're going to hide it, guys. I guess they're gonna not only are they gonna like make you hit the bell, but they're gonna hide the customized bell. But that's asking an awful lot, right? And two, please, you're right, $1.99. Thank you for the super chat. YouTube, straighten up for real. I love this. It's like the question that somebody had submitted to YouTube help was, I'm not receiving notifications, but I want to. Oh, you're killing me. You're killing me, YouTube. When I hit the bell off, it says you will get occasional notifications. When I hit the bell on, it says you will get all notifications. But where is this menu? I just had to change the option to all. And Gabe's Reef Tampa just got the notification. Oh, thank you. So I told this story a little bit earlier, but when I was out with Rico and his wife Jamie, after we got done with Korean and we're going home, I got a text message from her once I got home, and it was like a screen cap from her phone, and because we were having trouble even finding the live stream that I did yesterday. It just wasn't even showing up as like a video that I even did. It was just gone, right? But she sent me the screen cap of her phone, and it said that she was able to find that video, that live stream that I just did yesterday, but it said that it was streamed 4 years ago. So clearly there's something goofy with like how they're doing these dates. And somebody else in chat earlier today was saying that, yeah, I just got a notification for the show you did yesterday or something like that. Not so. Medic 58, I just resubbed and just got the notification. Okay, I'm gonna put a post. Never mind. I closed that window. I'm not gonna do anything. I was gonna put a post saying, "Hey guys, you might want to like resubscribe and re-hit the bell." I ask so much of you guys. When you hit the bell, you'll see it pop up. Okay, so I lied. I'm gonna do something. I'm gonna go to a channel that I subscribe to. Who the heck do I subscribe to though? I'm going to give a quick shout out to... Man, I really don't subscribe to very many people's aquarium channels. Let's do DC Reefer. He's not on here, right? So I'm going to click on DC Reefer right here. He came to the bar. Did he come to... DC didn't come to my barbecue. DC's not going to get a shout out after all. No, I'm kidding. Now he and CJ came as a part of another visit. All right, so I'm gonna click on this. Click it up. Yeah. Yeah, on mine I didn't get. It just basically was just bell or no bell. I'm confused. Who knows? Let's see. I saw your vest in the pic of you guys eating last night. Must have been cold in there. What was I wearing last night there? I might not have taken off my jacket. I don't know. Yeah, it gets cold because it's a small little hole-in-the-wall Korean joint, and like the door to the winter is right there next to us. Tech Gear Talk. Click the bell again. Got the notification 2 minutes ago. Interesting. Interesting. Finally, a day late. Darn YouTube. What's up, Zane? Welcome. Oh wait, he see this is what I'm talking about. Tech Gear Talk. Wait, no, it's for yesterday's show, but it might be for today's show. I used the same thumbnail. I just left it the same, but hopefully it's not for yesterday. Actually, for yesterday's show. And Lisa got the notification for yesterday's show also. But again, guys, I did do the thumbnail is the same. Like I didn't do that. Funny. Who knows? Who knows? But whatever. Just for this example, DC. One day you might hear about this, but you're gonna get. I'm gonna get bell notifications for your channel. Yep. Yesterday's show. Womp womp. YouTube, you are drunk. It's my turn to be drunk. These are my live shows. I'm the only one allowed to be drinking on these live shows. All right, what number are we on? Looks like we are on number 89. All right. So at number 100, I'm going to take a little bit of a bathroom break. So, yeah, that's going to happen. Peter M. Is the upcoming building video coming soon? Actually, yes, hopefully. I plan to do an update video this coming week. I wasn't able to work on it up to now because I needed all the processing power just to do this live show. Because the live show is one of those things where I tell it to do something and then I walk away for 5 hours and I hope it happens. And I come back sometimes like, oh, my computer crashed. Restart that. 5 hours. Work that time, great. Next step, hit the button, 5 hours. And before you say you need to upgrade your computer, believe me, I don't. But it's just what I'm asking it to do. It's basically saying, I want you to process a motion picture every other week for me. Like it's a crazy amount of processing that I'm actually requesting from this machine. So if it happens to like bomb out or just catch on fire, it's kind of understandable. Jessica J, do you remove the corals that were purchased yesterday? The website automatically does that. So we're looking at number 90, right? This chili pepper Monty. I don't know if it's on the website, but if you don't see a number 90 there, it's because somebody had purchased it. Now, I didn't feel like I needed to do much of anything because going from yesterday to today, I mean, obviously people were purchasing yesterday during the show. But, you know, a lot of people just, again, didn't get the notification. So there were still plenty of corals available. So I figured there's still so many that are still on there that didn't need to do anything crazy there. Go home, YouTube. You're drunk. Yep. Oh, sorry too, please. Yeah, major headache. Took some meds, but getting worse. Got to roll. Now, appreciate you showing up for both days, man. Thank you for coming. Adam, my watermelon zoas are still closed. So 420 actually came up with a decent suggestion. So you can lightly brush them, and I typically like to buy like like a really soft makeup brush that can do it. Now, the other thing that I do have to wonder is, do you have anything in your tank that might be directly bothering them? Something like a crab or a fish that's kind of known to bother zoas. Because I think yesterday when we talked, I think it was we talked about this yesterday, but oftentimes when zoas are closed, it's because it has a pest of some sort, and zoanthids really like to attract any number of pests. They're quite good at it, like nudibranchs, slugs of different types, flatworms, spiders, and every fish that even don't usually eat zoas at some point or another will try. So my mind immediately goes to potential pests, but it's entirely possible that you might just have like a regular old fish that you like that's also bothering it. Nothing, and no other zoas right next to them. They're fine. Okay, no fish at all. No fish at all. Stuart Mercer. Any good Canadian coral vendors? Uh, I don't know. Perhaps somebody from Canada can help. Like I know Lisa's Aquatics is up there. Um, I know Reef Dudes is up there. The only place that I'm aware of that I thought had like some really, really cool stuff was something associated with Reef Raft Canada. But obviously I've never ordered from Reef Raft Canada, so. But I've seen cool pictures, I guess. Okay, Can. Hey, Than. What do you think about transitioning from pure LED to a T5 LED hybrid without shocking the tank? What I would suggest if you're wanting to switch lighting is to, because clearly you're going to get a shift, right? But I would do the shift to lower lighting intensity. That way, because the worst thing you can do is just to blow it out with something that's just too bright altogether. And it's almost like a sunburn, right? Versus not getting enough light. Not getting enough light, you might have a vitamin D deficiency over the course of 3 months. But sunburn, 45 minutes is all it takes, right? So just miss on the low side. Gabe's Reef Tampa. Still having a hard time with the Pink Floyd chalice. Any idea what recommendations? It's hard to say. I mean, sometimes corals struggle in certain people's aquariums. Obviously, if you're seeing something wrong, test your water chemistry just in case. Sometimes you might be able to find something wrong there. Pink Floyd chalices don't typically have pest issues, but look out for any kind of potential harassment around it. So is it getting stung by a sweeper tentacle that you might not be aware of? Sometimes something even 5-6 inches away could send out a sweeper at night and sting it. That could happen. If you wanted to be proactive, you could just ramp up water changes. I mean, sometimes that's kind of like a panacea of sorts. It just kind of like handles a lot of different potential problems that might not even show up on a test kit. So yeah, just consider a couple of those options. But again, sometimes a coral just kind of goes downhill. I mean, we have that occasionally too, where a coral does well for like 3 months, and all of a sudden it's like I'm not happy about something, and they don't want to talk about it. They just keep crashing. Like I got nothing. I don't know. Land of maple syrup and poutine. I forget what is poutine. And you guys have that fancy thick bacon too. I feel like I used to know what poutine was. Debbie Lane, do I have to worry that my fire and ice zoas are starting to get really close to my bird of paradise? Uh, in that sense, I would worry more for the bird of paradise than I would for the zoas. But I mean, they're going to fight. I think the zoas are going to win. I don't think it's the end of the world either. It's fries and gravy. Poutine is fries and gravy. Okay, interesting. All right, so we've gone past our century point. Hit the button, and we should be on number 100, I think. Did the last one stop at one? Now I'm all confused. Anyway, quick bathroom break, and I'll be right back. All right, and I'm back. Let's see. Cesar Perez, question. Why do I have a lot of algae in my 100-gallon salt tank? So anytime that you have a lot of algae, the first thing that you have to kind of fully grasp is that it's usually because it's a nutrient issue. At the root of the problem, there's an excess of nutrients, which is encouraging that algae growth. So you have to either find a way to remove that nutrient through filtration, excess skimming, perhaps even attacking specific compounds like phosphate. A lot of algae rely on phosphate, so I would test your water to see if there's anything like really high nitrates and phosphates. Typically, are the kind of the leading compounds that lead to algae blooms. But there's a lot of other just dissolved organics as a result of excess nutrient that could also lead to an algae bloom. So ramping up filtration methods as well as just straight removal and replacement, so a lot of water changes would also help. But now that the algae is kind of already gotten rooted, at that point, hopefully you don't have a gigantic aquarium, but sometimes like the most effective form of maintenance at that point is to get in there with a toothbrush and a siphon, manually remove it, and almost like, what is it? Like an algal turf scrubber type filtration. You're just constantly removing the algae, and that removes the nutrient out of the water. So those are 3 suggestions you can try. I drank a lot of cherry Coke, you guys. That's enough of that. What's up, Rico? People were asking about you, like, why isn't Rico there for the second day? And I'm like, I forgot. I think I asked you, like, what are you doing today? And I know that you had like a lot of stuff on your plate, but I don't remember what you actually were gonna do. Yeah, there's something up with the notifications. So I don't know if Rico, you've put up a video recently and and seen anything with the notifications for just a regular video or not. But yeah, it seems like the notification thing is like an ongoing issue that a lot of people are running into. But what's weird is that it's not everybody having the issue. It's like 10% of my people are getting it, and 90% are not. Yeah, the notification system. I'm just gonna chalk it up to they done broke it. There are more people in here, up to almost 100. Oh, really? I just stopped messing with it. I just wasn't even looking. Yeah, almost 100. It's pretty good. I mean, it's pretty good given the situation, right? Because like I think like my most like 250 is like pretty good for me. So like 100 is it's good for like 3 years ago maybe. But yeah, much harder. I guess I'm doing the hard mode version of these live streams right now, right? It's like I don't need no notifications. It's harder. Yeah, let me know. 5 minutes. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, again, it's like live show versus a regular video, right? So, yeah, actually, okay. So for the folks that are subscribed to Rico's aquariums, when he drops his video, I'm curious to see if you guys get the notification for him. Okay? So Rico, let people know when you launch your video, publish your video, and in chat, tell me if you're getting his notifications. Oh, and by the way, Rico, thank you for bringing the cherry Coke yesterday. I just now finished the whole thing. Yeah. And so for the folks that had missed yesterday's live show, we're in this particular tank now where there was just this wrasse that is doing laps, just lap after lap after lap against the current. We had put in some new power heads, so there's a lot more flow in there. And this thing I thought was like had gone nuts and was just gonna run out of calories or something because it was just going full speed for hours, just around and around and around. And so like every single clip, you'll see him about 3 times just zipping by. Yep, there he was again. You can start doing Facebook and Twitter updates before the live show starts. Yeah, I do, but it's surprising how like the cross-platform stuff doesn't translate. Like, I hit up Instagram. I actually did YouTube, just a regular post as a poll saying, "Did you get the thing? Did you get the notification this time?" I did. Actually, I did the Facebook live stream itself, and it bombed out. Like about halfway through this particular live stream, Facebook dropped out altogether, and I don't want to mess up this broadcast software any more than it already is. So I was able to resuscitate the YouTube live stream, but I wasn't able to resuscitate the Facebook live stream. So I'm like, sorry, Facebook fam. It's like the stars are crossed today. Livewire Aquatics fan, do you have a caterer for the barbecue event? We make barbecue for many events here in Maryland. We'd love to hook up the smoker and make the trip to Ohio to help you out if we can. Send me an email to support@tidalgardens.com and send me some details. That might be something that we could be interested in. The reason why I'm kind of like hemming and hawing about that is I don't know if there's any kind of like weird legal issues about like serving food to the public here, because you know there's always weird laws when it comes to like townships and stuff like that. So I want to make sure that whatever we do, we have it all dot all our I's, cross all our T's, because I could totally imagine one of my neighbors calling up the cops and the fire department and the EPA to shut us down. I'm not joking. I wish I was joking. I'm not joking. All right. Experiment time, Rico's Aquariums. Rico, did you get some notification? Or did other people, did you get Rico's notification? All right. David McGrewer got the Rico notification. Livewire Aquatics may need to pull a permit. I'll send you an email. Yeah, do that. Yeah, who knows? I mean, when it comes to YouTube, I mean, portions of the site might be broken for portions of the population. So who knows? I just hope that it's just not an ongoing thing. So David McGrewer got Rico's notification, and he hasn't published it yet. Interesting. What a time to be alive. The AI is already on top of it. Oh, Debbie Lane just got the notification for today's show. Cool. I wonder if like today's just going to be one of those days where it's just like, you know what, I might as well just stay on for like 7 hours and just see how many people get like notifications at different times of the day. It's like did I miss the show yet? It's like 5:30 and I just got the notification. Like, oh yeah, good thing I'm still on. I'm not gonna do that. I don't know. We'll see when I log off, but I'm not planning on being here at like 9 o'clock at night. Oh man. Yeah, it's like I've got to do this live show every day, right? And just wait until like the notification thing works for everybody. So what's crazy is like just because I publish quite a few videos over the years, so I kind of get this. But I have a feeling that these live shows, just in general, don't get nearly the volume of views as one of my more curated, pre-produced videos. Which is fine, it's whatever. But I mean, there's clearly something different about these shows when it comes to just like YouTube delivering it to people. Excuse me. Sean Sullivan just got the notification for today's show 20 minutes ago, and I'm in Oregon. So Oregon is 3 hours. So that doesn't, it's not even a time zone thing. Like, so Oregon, it would be, was it 1:30 there? No. 12:30? Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't even be a time zone situation, I don't think. Yeah, it's just broken, guys. Hey, at least, you know what? At least you guys are here, right? All right. So Rico looks like he's getting notifications. Good. At least there's that, right? You know what? Did I get any Rico's notification? Did I hit the bell for Rico's channel? That's a better question. Am I subscribed to Rico's channel? Hold on, hold on. Okay, I am subscribed to Rico. No, I was not. I was not belled for Rico though. Huh. Interesting. And hit the refresh on YouTube. So I mean I hit the bell, but it's not. I mean I might have just done it, after the fact and not gotten a notification, but I'm not seeing it. Yeah, don't side eye me. You're the guy that showed up to my own live stream with a worldwide coral shirt. You don't get to side eye anybody, Rico. Uh, okay, Marine Hobby didn't get it. Okay, so Dave Waters got the Rico notification and the live show notification 30 minutes ago. Um, no rhyme or reason to it. Just gotta get into my little Zen state and just let that go. Dell's Reef, I never miss your shows, Dan. Love them. Thank you. Thank you, thank you. No, I appreciate the attendance, guys. That's why I don't mind, running this back, because I know that a lot of people missed yesterday's show. A lot of people are missing today's show, but at least we will take two cracks at it. Like all the hard work with just producing the video, shooting the video, all that stuff, it's all done. So it's a matter of me just kind of hitting the button and doing it all again. And sorry for the Facebook crowd that got deleted pretty much halfway through the stream, but I was able to resuscitate at least the YouTube side of things. But we got there. So hopefully the few people that are on this stream that missed yesterday's stream, at least you guys get a little bit more. And if you really wanted to, you could go back and watch yesterday's stream. All the corals are the same from yesterday, but Rico was here and we had some fun. Nelson Melendez, new to channel, amazing. Well, welcome, Nelson. At least YouTube isn't the core of your business. Yeah, that's true. Like, and Rico and I were talking about that yesterday. So. Obviously, YouTube is a large component of our marketing, right? Like, let's be honest, most people wouldn't know who the heck I was if I didn't have this YouTube channel. I mean, because we do other things, like I'm an author and stuff like that for magazines and other media outlets. But I'm mainly known for the YouTube stuff I do. But I mean, there's people that their whole income is directly tied to YouTube. And when something crazy happens, like, oh, we're going to go and do an audit of everybody's subscribers and they delete 30% of your subscriber base, it's like, ooh, that hurt. Or they change the algorithm and all of a sudden, some channel that was big is now a third of their size now because just the algorithm says, actually, your content is performing like trash. So we're going to go in this direction and send all your viewership to Rice Gum and Jake Paul. Great. That's what we need. So, yeah, long story short, it is good that I'm a little bit diversified in that way because I am not going to start to turn my channel into a prank blog anytime soon, or a reaction channel. That's the laziest garbage that's on YouTube. That's instant success. It's like the reaction channels. Oh, I'm such a hater, right? Nicole, can you do a video on fox corals? No, I can't. And it's because I haven't actually seen a fox coral in about a year plus. And I don't even know if they come from Australia, which would be the only way that I would then acquire a fox coral. Um, yeah, I hadn't seen one in so long that I thought that they were a soft coral until I got reminded that they were actually a stony coral. That's how long it's been. Blue Basin Aquatics, welcome. Did you just get the notification? Yeah, people are getting notifications at weird times now. At least they are getting notifications. When is your next video up? If you're talking to me, hopefully mid next week I'll have something. Hopefully. I'll be going on vacation next weekend, so I will definitely get it before I leave. And Lisa's Aquatics. Let me ask you, like, how's that passport coming along? Hopefully you'll get that before the barbecue. Nelson Melendez started my build. Need many pointers. Luckily, you're getting into the golden age of information availability when it comes to this hobby. There's so many different YouTube channels that talk about how to start an aquarium. A lot of different blogs that you can read, a lot of different forums that you can read. When I started, it was just a sea of bad information or no information, and you just kind of had to get real comfortable with not knowing stuff. Like, I don't know why my coral's dying. I just have to get comfortable with just not knowing. Like, the answers just aren't going to come. So, yeah, nowadays, you can do a lot of research ahead of time. You can save yourself a lot of money. You can save a lot of animals by front loading a lot of research activity. And so Tidal Gardens, at least on the coral end, is really heavy in that. We try to do at least some sort of coral profile for every type that we sell. So yeah, you can pick up a lot of things. So if you're considering certain corals, definitely do a quick search and see if we've done a video on it. Haha, that's next on my list, a passport. Yes, yes. It'll help you get across the border. Adam, where are you heading, Than? I am going to Vietnam with 6 of my friends. That's the plan anyways. Hopefully I don't miss all of my connecting flights because of long lines at the airport. Like, I just really don't want to get stuck in airport security and be like, I've got 45 minutes to catch my connection flight and there's 500 people in front of me in line. That would be my luck. But no, the idea is I'll be going to Vietnam for about 10 days. So I've got a bit of a reputation for trying to dress nicely for live streams and stuff. Yesterday I wore a suit. Today I'm basically wearing what I wore to snow throw my driveway. But oh my gosh, I'm taking it up to the next level when I go to Vietnam. I am like packing all of like my t-shirts and stuff that are over 20 years old, and I plan on just leaving my clothes there as I wear them. Like, okay, whatever I take to Vietnam clothing wise, I expect to kind of like just discard over there and just not bring stuff back. So I'll be traveling fairly light just with a backpack going out there, and when I come back, I want that backpack to be mostly empty. That's the goal. I'm gonna look pretty homeless on this vacation. And I guess that's reason enough to take those clothes and discard them there if you always look homeless in them. Go meet Matt from Jayo. He's in Vietnam right now. You know, he and I have like crossed path countries like many times, and have missed one another. Now he did come and visit here one time, and that's very cool for St. Patty's Day. But I remember one time I was in Detroit when he was in Detroit. We missed each other. And later on, we discovered that we were both in Japan at the same time, missed each other. So it'd be funny if we ended up either seeing or missing each other in Vietnam, because that's some crazy coincidence if you think about it. Than, will you hold corals if weather is not coral friendly? Yes, we try to pay attention to that. However, sometimes weather doesn't cooperate anyway. But if it's way too cold here or the destination, we take that into consideration. If there is like a winter storm weather warning, we take that into consideration as well. And all the people that are ordering, you'll get shipping confirmation from us. If you need specific shipping days, definitely get in contact with us. At this time of year, we have to be really flexible. And the last thing I want to do is send coral and just have it die in transit. That is the biggest bummer, because I mean, obviously, like, we're doing all this to get sales, and it's hard enough just to do that. But then on top of that, you get the sale and then you lose the coral. It's like, no, we try to work around these sort of things as much as we can. Tina's Reef, welcome to the chat. American Reefing, hello everyone, welcome as well. Cesar Perez, when would you recommend to change water? I'm not sure exactly what you mean, but I tend to like to do smaller water changes more frequently. So yeah, Lisa, flying is actually really safe. The only problem that I have with flying, so stateside here, it's flying is not the most super comfortable experience. I think that a lot of airlines in the United States have gone to more towards like a budget model, to be like, try to be the cheapest thing imaginable. So you don't get a lot of amenities. You don't get a lot of like comfortable seating or anything like that. They kind of like try to cram you in there. But if you take international flights, sometimes those are really cool, like really cool, especially the stuff in Asia and in Europe. Going to the Caribbean in April. Have to fly to Texas to Florida. And have fly Texas to Florida. Yeah, Rico drives everywhere. And lucky for me, I guess, he's going to hopefully help me go get my aquariums. And that's an 18-hour drive back from Florida to Ohio. I think it'll be worth it, but I'm not looking forward to that drive. He's like, no, it's no big deal. I'm like, it's 18-hour drives. That's a big deal for me. That's a really big deal for me. Then I would have to be heavily sedated to get a plane ever again. Some people are like that with planes. They as soon as they get in that plane, they're like, they call over, I don't think stewardess is the correct term anymore. Flight attendant. Call over the flight attendant. And they're like, you just go ahead and keep that whiskey running to my chair, right? Running to my seat. Just keep it coming until I pass out. But like for me, I am usually asleep during takeoff. That's how that goes for me. I'm very good at sleeping on planes. However, The last flight that I went on these ultra budget airline. It's called Frontier. So guys, if anybody works at Frontier, it's not your fault. But the executives that run that company have made it very clear that they will expend every expense to make that a very uncomfortable flight. It's like our chairs didn't even recline back. Couldn't even do that. They were just bolted in one position, and that was the only flight I've ever been on where I couldn't fall asleep. And I needed to sleep on that flight because it was a red eye, meaning that it's flying like through the night, and we arrived like the next morning someplace. And I was driving home that day from the airport was more dangerous than driving drunk. That's how sleepy I was. It was bad. And I fully blame Frontier Airlines. Longest drive I've ever done was 15 hours in one sitting. It wasn't fun. So I've never personally driven that far. Me behind the wheel, the longest I've ever driven was 10 hours. And that was because I was visiting a girlfriend at the time. It didn't work out. So I'll never do that again. Um, but I've driven from Ohio all the way to California with friends, and we took turns driving a van. That's like the most hippie sounding thing ever, but we were college students and we were going to the Rose Bowl for the college football game. Yeah, that drive from Florida to Ohio is never a piece of cake. Done it so many times, the traffic is getting worse and worse. Oh, that's great. That's just great. Well, you know what the thing is, if I might be taking two different trucks as well, but I have a feeling that I'm gonna have to make two trips down to Florida because all the tanks that I had ordered from Reef Savvy can't fit on one truck. Medic 58, lol, Frontier is the worst. It is. And usually I can kind of just gut it out, but I'll never try to save money by going like Frontier or any of these budget airlines ever again. Agilent, if that's even still an airline. What else is the other cheap airline? But I'm not having it anymore. I'll pay the extra price to get like average flights. Yes, exactly, medic. They make you wish that you paid the extra money up front for a better flight. That's exactly what I was thinking. I was like, I should have paid triple and gone on a Delta flight. Richard Tarr, love the channel. Thank you. Question: do you have a lot of experience with shelving coral? Do you have a ton of flat surface area for them to grow? Um, I'm not quite sure what you're asking. But I will tell you just how we arrange our grow out systems. We have a lot of um, acrylic frag holders. Our favorite that we've used so far is made by a company called Reef. They do a pretty good job with their fabrication, and what I also like is that for every single frag plug, they have like a membrane of silicone that has like a little grippy thing that makes it hard for like fish or and whatever to pop it out. Because a lot of our issues that we're running into right now is fish just grabbing like one of these plugs and just chucking it. So I do like the Reef product. It's more expensive. But if you're working with like a small frag system, it's not that bad. It's worth the upgrade. For somebody like me that it's gonna have, I don't know, 20,000 gallons or something crazy like that, that expense gets a little rough, but it's kind of worth it in that regard. Now, if you're asking about like shelving, as in like the magnetic ones that go on the side of your glass, I don't love those, but some people do that. I don't. Some people talking about trucking. That's the job that I could never do. Coral placement. I missed the context of that. Sorry. Frag racks, maybe. Yeah, maybe. Or it means plating corals. Plating corals. There's a few. Mainly, you're looking at Montipora, and you're looking at certain chalices. So I don't know exactly what number it is, but if you see like a blue, I think it's a blue moon chalice. It almost looks like a plating Montipora, but it's a chalice. And there's several different types of plating Montipora. We have a purple one, we've got a green one, we've got the orange one. And we've got, well, actually, we have more than that. There's like a flower petal variety, which is, I guess, a bluish purple with a different colored polyp. Sunbursts, I think, are orange with like yellow polyps. So there's definitely some varieties out there. Lawson, buy that Tesla semi. I'd like a Tesla semi. I'd like a Tesla anything, because if you know anything about me, I don't really like driving, and the idea of being in a car and not driving sounds really great to me. I would love just to like sit back and just tell it where to go and, I don't know, check Instagram for the rest of the trip. That sounds like a great time. But and it's not a safety thing for me. Like some people are like, well, I wouldn't trust the machines. Like, trust me, I trust the machines more than I trust like people that are distracted driving, that are texting while driving, that are drunk and driving, or on the phone and driving, or had a bad day and are driving, or are tired from a long day of work driving, or couldn't fall asleep on the red-eye flight and is driving. Yeah, give me the Tesla artificial intelligence any day. Oh, thanks, Deacanthus Reef, for putting the Patreon out there. So I have like this love-hate thing with Patreon for me specifically. So I think like Patreon works for some people a lot better than it'll work for others, because I wanted to put out a thing for Patreon, because I mean, not everybody can support Tidal Gardens directly from our main activity, which is sales, right? You know, like people are in Canada, they can't purchase from us. They're in Europe, they're in Africa, they're in the Middle East, they're in Asia. They can't participate in the actual main course of revenue generation for us. But they want to still support the channel. So they might do super chats. That's great if they can get a notification for the live stream. But there's not a lot of other ways to do it. But they can click on some ads, right? So I can get like some fractional penny for whatever that's worth. But, you know, I wanted to just to put it out there that they could, you know, donate through Patreon, and that's always welcome, right? That's a great way to support YouTube creators for like informational content or entertainment or whatever that you just want to appreciate. We love that. But at the same time, like, I think a lot of the ask for Patreon sounds like you're hard up for money. And in some cases, like, I kind of am hard up for money because I've spent a ton on this building, right? But that's kind of like this first world problem issue that a lot of YouTube creators run into, because going from like starving YouTube artist to star happens really fast sometimes. And I'll give you a perfect example. I was following this this guy that does like fragrance reviews for cologne. And, you know, he was probably a successful guy before he started the YouTube thing. He did the YouTube thing as a total hobby thing because he was just really into fragrances. And he was just, you know, he does all these lists and stuff. And he got very popular. And he decided to make this career shift to do YouTube full time. And he was saying like how, guys, you know, I quit my job. I want to embrace this community, and I want to do this because this is what I'm really passionate about. This is a passion project for me, and it is really difficult to be a YouTube creator full time. And so he set up a Patreon. Thing is, though, again, going from startup YouTube creator to a star can happen very, very fast if you just have that charisma and you hit that right part of the YouTube algorithm. So he went from asking people for a donation to help support his life as a fledgling YouTube creator full time to within 3 months doing a video about a Ferrari that he bought. So, and obviously the people that are sitting back as Patreon donors are like, what the heck just happened? So I kind of have that love-hate thing with Patreon for me, because it's like, I think that, I'm doing big projects here. So in that sense, like, I don't need, donations. But at the same time, I want to have that as an option for people that couldn't directly purchase corals. Like, you guys, if you wanted to support me, you don't have to do any donation stuff. Just buy the corals, right? But I kind of feel a little conflicted when it comes to that, because like because you don't want to ever be that guy that's just like flexing on his crowd and not just unironically not even realizing that he went from needing money to all of a sudden, hey guys, check out my new Ferrari. I would hate to be that guy one day. All right, anyways, that was a total random tangent, but I had to throw that in there because, yeah, Decanter threw that Patreon in there. Let's see. 50,000 pounds of truck going down the road being driven by a computer sounds great. Crazy thing is, I trust. I got some trust. Yeah, the whole robot car thing, when it comes to AI, is kind of like this. It's a moral question as well, because at some point, there's going to be some kind of mesh AI that has to make a decision whether it's like, would it be okay to sacrifice one passenger to save 3 passengers or 3 bystanders? And so you might be in a vehicle that has made the cost benefit analysis that says you're not going to make it. So that would be weird. Clickbait thumbnails with poopy content is always a win too. Well, like I said, like earlier, so YouTube rewards frequent uploading, and so a lot of times, like really, really, really high quality content can't be produced at the rate that YouTube wants you to be uploading, unless you're like a multinational corporation with like a staff, right? Like the Today Show or whatever, ESPN. So a lot of times small creators have to do kind of the easiest to produce show. So you're seeing a lot more really roughly edited vlogs or barely edited vlogs, or you see just straight talking head, nothing else. Or to me, like the laziest stuff is just reaction videos. You're just reacting to other people's content. And yeah, you can crank like 4 of those out a day, but YouTube like rewards just that activity, and obviously drama and things of that sort. Dr. Welsh, you could never be that guy, Than, because it takes a certain type of person to be like that, and you sort of not that type of person. It's so obvious. Well, at least not with cars, right? Like, I'm not going to flex on anybody with a car. My car is like 11 or 12 years old now, and my hope is that I'll never buy another car as long as I live. Like, because, well, first, I don't like to drive. But then I wanted to get to the point where I can now have like a car subscription and never have to purchase another vehicle. By the way, that 155, I see black stuff. Is that sponge? Very unlikely to be sponge. It just might be an algae that's on the plug. And you can probably just scrape that off if you wanted to. Yeah, so Tech Gear Talk, you're totally right about quality taking so much time. Yeah, so Tech Gear Talk, YouTuber, um, his reviews are no joke when it comes to uh, quality of presentation. And if YouTube wants you to do 1 to 3 videos per day, it's not going to happen at that quality without a production team. You just need to be better with FCP. Yeah, right. No, it is tough to generate like a lot of content. And actually to Rico's credit there, he's done a really good job of getting out that much content. But boy, it's not just like the work, but it's draining in other ways. Like the especially if you get into like higher production, like the amount of just mental bandwidth it takes to do that, it's really really difficult. So like the people that so the people that are able to do that really long term as well, it takes a certain it takes a certain type of person to be even just able to do that without burnout. Chris McLaughlin, I use FCP for a living, so that's easy for me to say. So my edits, okay, I do rudimentary edits. Like my edits are never, that flashy or anything. I do very, very basic cuts. So a lot of my time isn't so much on the editing side that bogs me down. It's and Tech Gear Talk, you know this, right? It's all scripting. The scripting takes so much time, so much effort. And that's one of those things that's very hard to outsource, because if you're doing any kind of like really technical talk, or talk about like coral at a higher level than what is par for the course, that takes a lot of more research, that takes a lot more wordsmithing, and just like the length of the scripts and everything like that, all of that plays into it. So the actual editing and shooting, like shooting is easy. Within reason, it's easy. Like the hardest thing about shooting for me is I have to bring those corals to a tank, and then a fish will come and mess with that coral, so the coral will never look good for me to shoot. That's the difficulty in shooting. It's not even, the shooting part's not difficult. It's just the staging, I guess. But once you get the shots, the editing for me is pretty straightforward, because I do rudimentary edits. It's like my editing isn't why people show up to my channel, but it's all about scripting. And if you're having a bad day, you can't be creative. If you're just distracted by other stuff, like, oh, I don't know, like a building is going on, you have to like oversee stuff all day, and you can't then sit down that evening and be creative. So that's where I get gummed up. Nelson Melendez, is live sand in a bag really alive? I think it depends. I think that it has a shelf life. Yeah, and it's hard to have someone else have your voice. Yeah, because I know some people that have tried to hire that portion out, and it sounds really awkward at certain points, because it's like, that doesn't sound quite right because it's the wrong person saying it. Yeah, I get paid to put together the wow factor in videos. I don't deal with scripting of any kind. Yeah, the scripting is tough. Yeah, I mean, like good writers, there's a reason why good writers get paid big bucks. Well, I shouldn't even say that. Like the really successful writers, especially like comedy writers, oh my gosh, that's a real challenge. Not that I would know. I'm not that funny. to check a message there. So it looks like we're about half hour until we wind down, I guess, here. Got to see like a mix of these corals. Sometimes I also look back at seeing some of these, and I would have sworn that they were on a past live show, and I've shot this particular coral before. Sometimes I get that feeling because I've been shooting so many of these now. It's like, you look familiar. You're funny without trying. Yeah. Funny looking. No, it's... I do like YouTube as a platform. I complain a lot about them, but I do like it. It could be worse. It could be Facebook. Or it could be... What are the kids into these days? It could be TikTok. Yeah. That's one place you will never find me. You'll never find me on TikTok. Because you know what's okay. So, real quick in chat. Do you guys even know what TikTok is? It's like a musical video platform, I guess. And like the creepiest thing are old dudes my age on TikTok, because it's a primarily younger audience on there, and it's beyond cringy to the point where it's like, ooh, I don't even know if I feel comfortable just like watching this. Not because of the young people, but it's because the old people interacting with the young people. It's like, ugh, it's kind of pedo. But the reason why that kind of like popped into my head was because yesterday, Rico and his wife were talking about going to a place that's local, kind of local here. It's called Kalahari. It's like this water park. And it's like this indoor water park. There's like slides and, like big pools and whatever. I've never been there. And I remember I loved water parks as a kid, right? So I was like, man, I should go to Kalahari. But then I was just thinking, I bet there's two types of people at Kalahari. There are children and there are parents my age looking after the children at this water park. And if I went there, I would just be like on the old side of that equation, but without the kids. So I would be that super creepy guy, and I'm like, no, I just want to go to a water park. But I think I might have just aged out of that thing, and not having kids is like, I don't even have a good excuse to go. So there's that. But I don't know. I've never been to Kalahari. Time to move to Twitch. I might. Twitch might be something that I might try. So I heard like Twitch as like a platform is really, really, really competitive. So when I was originally thinking about being doing some streaming on Twitch, it would have been possible to get a crowd. But I guess now that Twitch is so saturated, I think that a lot of people go for months without a single person watching their stream because there's so many other people streaming that same thing. Yeah, crazy. And by the way, Diacanthus and Dr. Walsh of Magic, thank you so much for helping out Nelson there while I was just going on my rants about all these other topics. Hopefully, Nelson, you got some good info from those guys. So, when it comes to advice on the internet, it can be tricky because there's a lot of very vocal people. I think that the internet lends itself to very vocal people, but real knowledge and understanding, I think it has to be demonstrated now. I think back in the day where people really were hiding behind keyboards and monitors and, and sounding like an authoritarian or not sounding like an authority. Sorry, not an authoritarian. Sounding like an authority on a subject. But nowadays, I think that with the abundance of media available, you can vet the expertise of somebody just by like you can tell just by looking at their tank to make it really simple. It's like it doesn't matter what your educational background is. It doesn't matter anything. It's like if you have to deliver your ability to keep a spectacular looking tank that people want to emulate. So I think nowadays you can see that because in the past, like people became quote unquote experts without ever doing like the proof of work, right? The proof of success, and it's a lot more difficult now to do that without ever showing your aquarium. And a lot of times, like people, and their tank might not even be bad. I'm not even saying that. But there's very few people that have an aquarium that is almost like a celebrity unto itself, where like that level of success for that long of a time period is something that I want to emulate. And now I have questions like, what are you doing differently that I'm not doing? And let's talk about that. And it's like maybe something like that won't work for me because the system itself is so different than what I have. Like what works for my 2,000 gallon system that's broken up over several large frag systems might not translate to somebody that has a 30 gallon tank. And so a lot of like what might be a truism for me does not scale down. It doesn't scale at all. Things like that. So I think the more that you do research and the more that you're able to see other people's aquariums, you're going to find, people to listen to. So yeah, there's a lot of information out there. There's a lot of I guess different philosophies that are contradictory, and sometimes they're both right. Like there's two people saying two completely different things, and they can both be right because the systems that they're talking about are just different. And that nuance can be really kind of frustrating to grasp at first for beginning hobbyists. But I think that it's also, you'll know when you get there, when you can tell that context really matters. Like something that works for Rico's 550 gallon system is not something that is going to translate well to somebody's smaller aquarium. And in some cases, like certain methodologies, like I would never really go for aquaforest again, but other people can be successful doing it. And it's just one of those things, like certain things like just don't work for certain people. So, you'll find out what works. And, sometimes like, so Nelson was saying went to Petco and received bad info. It might've been bad info, but it might've been good info that just doesn't apply to you. And that can obviously be frustrating when you're the one asking the question, but it might not necessarily have been wrong. So it just kind of depends. So the longer you you hang around in this community, you'll kind of get a better picture. But the easiest thing is, again, just to check people's credentials, look at their tanks. Is that something that you want your tank to look like? Go from there. And this is coming from somebody that hasn't had a show tank in over 20 something years. I will be having some this coming year for the first time in a long time, but my whole claim to fame is on the aquaculture side of things. So yeah, it's everybody has their own different perspective on these things. Yeah. And there's certain things that are kind of more true across the board, but even then, it's like for example, be patient. Doing stuff the long way always pays dividends. And then maybe somebody's trying to sell a product to speed it up, and so they're like, "No, you can cycle a tank in like one day." I'm like, "Well, they're trying to sell a product, I guess." So there's that perspective. Budget lighting. I did a video on budget lighting. There were some T5 fluorescents that are on Amazon, and those are fairly inexpensive. I think they've gone up in price since I did that video on them. They still work on my systems. Are they great quality fixtures? No, they're not, but they're really, really, really cheap. T5s. And by the way, T5s are like the actual bulbs themselves, if you get them from like a reputable company. By reputable, I basically mean like Coral and Zucht and ATI, like these, these German brands. I'm sure that there's some other good ones out there that I don't use. I mainly use ATI. But they will give any light a run for its money on how well they grow stuff. Like pretty much every coral that you're seeing on this live stream was grown under T5. So you can get away with really cheap fixtures that just run T5 bulbs. But then again, there are all these advantages to LED. And my new systems in the new building very likely will be LED. Just because there might be 200 fixtures, and I don't know if I really want to pay the electric or cooling bills on all T5. So there's that. So yeah, definitely check out my video on T5s, both the bulbs and those cheap fixtures. I think when I purchased those fixtures, they were literally $100 shipped 2 days. But I think they might have gone up in price since then because they probably figured out, hey, we're not making any money. But those lights are still running on my systems. I mean, they're rusty because I think that there's some that have not been wiped off in 2 years in a greenhouse, but they're still running. Budget lighting Ocean Revive. So I've never used those personally, but some people do like them a lot. Black box lights. Yeah, there's a bunch of Chinese black boxes that are very popular. I mean, you understand what you're getting yourself into, right? You're probably not getting the highest build quality. But then again, there's nothing to say that a more high-priced unit isn't going to have similar problems. I mean, let's be real. A lot of this stuff originates from China. And, sometimes fit and finish could be an issue. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Diacanthus, for looking that up and linking. Yeah, I mean, when it comes to lighting, like, don't overthink it either. The vast majority of lights will be just fine. If anything, just get something that you can regulate the lighting down so you don't burn everything up. And the other thing is like Stuart Mercer just asked, what are your settings? What do you suggest for settings? I wouldn't overthink that either. And actually, I would take this as an opportunity to play around a little bit and experiment, because my lighting is so simplified. I don't even have stuff on timers. Everything is on off. I walk in the morning and I turn the lights on. Before I leave at 5, we turn the lights off. And during the day, the lights don't change. The sun changes, but the lights don't change. They're fine. It's fine. Like a lot of these settings and stuff like that, they're more for people than they are for the actual corals, which is fine too. I mean, it's the cat food analogy, right? You see like the packaging for cat food. It's to sell cat food to people. Like the cats don't care how fancy that chicken is. And the way that cat food sometimes smells, it's supposed to smell good to you. Like I've noticed that on some of the higher end cat foods, it smells like something that you might want to try eating. The cat doesn't care. Cats are gross. They'll eat a lot of like raw stuff. So anyway, Coral Lights are trying to sell lighting to people, and I don't think the coral really cares. But you can, do these tweaks and see if there's something out there that works. But again, give it a try. It's part of the hobby. Try to enjoy the experience. Why not doing not dog food? I'm sure all of it's pretty gross. But then again, I don't know. We here in America, we don't have good food. We don't have good food these days much. A lot of stuff is probably on par with dog food. It's just differently made. Probably comes from the same factory. Check a couple things here. Let's see how Rico's video did, because it seemed like people were getting his updates. Not bad, not bad. He's got about a little less than 500 views in about an hour. Yeah, I mean, you can tell when something went wrong, where it's just like, or just never even went up there, just flatline to begin with. All right, guys, I think we're down to like the last 10 corals. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this back-to-back stream. It's the first time I've ever done this, by the way, to do like a show and then just load it up back up and do it again. EJS Dirt Biker, any elegance on the show? No, there's not. So elegance coral is one of the staple corals that we have to purchase and just bring it in and sell it. It's not something that can be propagated. Well, no, it can be propagated. It can't be propagated sustainably without very large systems dedicated to it, just because of the time that it takes to heal and everything like that. So economically, it's difficult to justify propagating elegance. So we have to purchase them. And a lot of Australia is being taxed as far as like their collection, because not like a financial tax, but like a hardship tax, because that's the primary geography for import-export now, because of Indonesia, Fiji, places like that closing down. So a lot of people, or a lot of wholesalers and importers, are having difficulty getting some of these corals in as regularly as before. So right now, I think that the only elegance that we sell is on the website, not on this show. So that's the reason for that. Tina's Reef, having fun doing water changes while listening. Yeah. I'm really looking forward to our water change system on our future aquariums, because it's going to be so much easier. We've made a huge investment in getting that, not automated, but way more convenient. So we have like a faucet right by every single sump that we're able to immediately do top up. Adam is asking, do you find that acros need random flow, or are they okay with pretty consistent flow? We only provide consistent flow, and it seems to be pretty good. Yeah, I think that that randomized flow is one of those things that, like, it might get a little overrated. I think it's one of those things that sometimes it's like the cat food, right? It's getting sold to the customer more so than something that's really necessary for corals. But I can also see some benefit to randomizing flow for no other reason than just stirring up detritus, because detritus does seem to like settle in certain areas, and if you don't go in there and siphon it out, then it could kind of cause some issues there. Yeah, flow is like its own thing entirely, its own own subject, and there's very little actual researched info when it comes to that. I mean, it could be, it could be one of those things that, could be looked at a lot more, but it's even just doing those studies would be a challenge. 23 thumbs up, slacking. There's 77 people here. Yeah, I mean, it's clear that like the YouTube notification thing was just like crushing the 2 live shows that we did this weekend. So anyway, hopefully you guys got something out of this weekend. You got 2 for the price of 1, so to speak. And we're coming down to the end. I think that 196 is the last coral that we're going to cover. So yeah, weekend's almost up. Are you guys going to be doing anything after the show? I probably get to go and like do all the packing planning, so I'm not exactly looking forward to that. Nelson's asking, when I want zoos, any packs for zoos? There actually are some packs that we do sell. So there is a Zoanthid 10 pack. I forget what the price is. It's in the 170 range. You might want to check that out. Double dose of Than for the month. Don't think you're going to hear any complaining. Yeah, so I think that in the future, this was a particularly condensed month because I will be doing travel, so that knocks out 2 weekends. So usually I want to try to do 2 to 3 live shows and like have an SPS live show, a not SPS live show, which would be like LPS and some soft corals and mushrooms and stuff, and then a mix live show. So ideally there would be 2 to 3, but we'll see how that goes once I recover from travel. I don't know, who knows, maybe they won't let me back in the country, who knows. But yeah, so this month is a little bit condensed, but hey, you know what, we got 2 live shows in, I guess. Oh, heading out to the observatory to do some astrophotography, that's kind of cool. All right, guys, 1 more coral after the Red Sea Xenia, which all those people that were saying, oh, that's such a weed, it's like, it's less of a weed now, huh? It's a lot more difficult to get this coral in, so people actually have to spend some money on it. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for joining in on this second live show. Hopefully, some folks that missed yesterday's were able to also catch this one and get their questions answered. And I hope everybody enjoys the rest of their week. The live show itself is going to stay active for a couple of days. So we usually start thinking about taking it down on Wednesday. So that should give you people that want to shop plenty of time to grab up anything that they're interested in. Thanks again to all the people on Patreon, and thanks for the super chat to please. He hit me up with $1.99 a couple times this show, and he was on yesterday. So thanks so much for to please. Hopefully his headache gets better. Yeah, guys, that is all from here. Take care, happy reefing and all that. And there is going to be a update video, hopefully sometime middle of this coming week. All right, and again, don't forget the barbecue. That's going to be coming up in July. So go ahead and pencil that in on the calendar and see if you guys can make it when